Welcome to Lunch with Legacy Leaders, a weekly talk show with local and national thought leaders discussing issues impacting the Black community. Now introducing our host, Miss Ann Marie Sorrell.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Lunch with Legacy Leaders. I'm your host, Ann Marie Sorrell, President and CEO of the Mosaic Group. Thank you for taking time out of your afternoon to join us this day. Before we get started, I want to just thank our sponsors for making this broadcast possible. Thank you to Demesman and Dover Accident Attorneys, AARP, Florida Lottery, and All of Us Research Program at the University of Miami. Today, I'm joined by Commissioner Kionne McGhee, Miami-Dade County Board of Commissioners, District 9. Welcome, Commissioner McGhee. How are you?
Thank you, Ann Marie, for having me, and thank you for all you're doing for the community and educating us on issues that are affecting us all.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I know that you're no stranger to many in South Florida as well as around our state. But for those who may not be familiar with you, Commissioner McGhee, I'm just going to briefly go over your bio. And then, of course, I'm going to have you just kind of introduce yourself in your own words before we dive into today's hot topic.
Gotcha.
Thank you. Commissioner Kionne McGhee has committed his life to service. He was first elected to the Florida House of Representatives in 2012 for Florida House District 117, where he served as the minority leader from 2018 to 2020. He was then elected as Miami-Dade County Commissioner for District 9 in November 2020. As District 9's Miami-Dade County Commissioner, Commissioner McGhee serves as part of the governing body of unincorporated Miami-Dade County. He has broad regional powers to establish policies for Miami-Dade County services. Commissioner McGhee provides major metropolitan services countywide and city-type services for residents of District 9. Throughout his tenure with the Miami-Dade County Board of County Commissioners, Commissioner McGhee received the following appointments: Health Emergency Management and Intergovernmental Affairs Committee Chair, Transportation Mobility and Planning Committee Vice Chair, Port Miami Environmental Resilience Committee, and Community Safety and Security Committee. Commissioner McGhee grew up in South Dade Public Housing. He earns a bachelor's of degree from Howard University, HU, and a Juris Doctorate from the Thurgood Marshall School of Law. Commissioner McGhee is an accomplished attorney and the author of the best-selling book, Conquering Hope, The Life You Were Destined to Live. His numerous affiliations include the Florida Trial Lawyers Association, Wilkie D. Ferguson Bar Association, and the Greater Miami Service Corps, where he serves as a board member. He also is president and founder of Two Noit, I hope I said that right, Media and Publishing, founder of Yale, Young Advocates Leading by Example, and president of Transitions, Inc. He has been named one of Miami's Rising Voices by AT&T and the Miami Herald. He also earned the Florida Self-Sufficiency Award in 2010. So thank you and welcome again.
Thank you very much, Ann Marie, for having me here. It's an honor and a privilege and a pleasure. Secondly, I want to say that bio you just gave a beautiful description of. I don't know who that person is in that bio. But what I can tell you is job well done. So thank you so much. And you covered everything. I couldn't have said it better, but that's a pretty interesting fellow, whoever you were talking about.
Well, thank you so much, Commissioner McGhee. You always know how to brighten a day and make us smile. So in your own words, then, briefly, I mean, you've been a public servant for a very long time. What brought you to this place? Just briefly tell us.
Well, we're all servants, right? We, the key to life, the key to succeeding, the key to pushing forth an agenda that affects everyone in a positive manner is servant leadership. There's only one or two ways you can actually provide for the great people in this state and this country. And in fact, one being servant and the second one being servant, right? So if we understand that at the core of everything we do is servant, then we have to find the political will, the policy will, the financial will, now to merge that with some form of leadership in those areas. So what we were able to do was combine servant and leadership together. And this is why most people, when they speak with me about certain issues in the community, I lead with the servant leadership model of making sure that we include as many people as possible so that we can help lift this boat of success and opportunities.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a deep dive because you just definitely demonstrated some leadership most recently. There's a housing emergency or housing crisis in Miami-Dade County, but essentially throughout our state and even around our country. Tell us about some of the trends that's happening when it comes to the housing crisis and specifically how it's affecting renters in our area.
Yes, without a question, I totally agree with you. There is a housing crisis here. As a matter of fact, there's a housing crisis in New York, San Francisco, Boston, San Jose, District of Columbia, Los Angeles, and Oakland. What we're seeing is increases in rents across the board. We're seeing individuals no longer only paying the maximum of 30% of their income. What we're seeing is individuals now are doubling that, paying somewhere between, in some cases, up to 78% of their income on rent. That is unacceptable. I believe that is going to push us to an area that is very dangerous. And our job right now is to come together with a game plan that we believe will allow for people to get from under the heavy burden of paying above the 30% in their income towards rent.
And that's so interesting because we have rising gas prices. We've already had rising cost of food and other commodities. And now you're adding, rent and, if you want to purchase a home, you're kind of priced out of the market at this point. So people, you're right. We're pushing people into a very, very tough situation. Not to mention the mental health behind all of it, on top of what's been happening in the past, couple of years with the ever evolving pandemic that we're in. Every time we think we're out of it, there's another, phase of it that comes. So
right.
This is tremendous. And I know a lot of us rely on government to kind of help solve these different challenges and problems. And you recently led a measure that and passed a measure that has directed Mayor Daniela Levine Cava's office to study the housing situation in the county. Can you tell us more about that measure and why there has to even be a study when we see exactly what's happening?
Right, and Ann Marie, this is why can you hear me? This is why I so much respect you. And every last one of those, and the statement you just made, you had so many different elements there that are contributing to the overall quagmire that we're seeing here in Miami-Dade County. Recently, and in fact, you're absolutely correct. Recently, I filed legislation that would direct the mayor and our team to review the housing crisis here in Miami-Dade County. And the reason why we need that study is because truth of the matter is, Ann Marie, as you've noted, there hasn't been one before here in Miami-Dade County that actually give us, we know what the problem is now, give us a solution. There hasn't been one that actually brought forth to the table of consciousness all the folk who are being affected. So I believe in getting things done. And the way you get things done is you cannot leave those who are affected outside of the conversation. You have to bring them into the house, allow for them to have an input. And this is the only way I saw us being able to have that opportunity to put the affected folk at the table so that we can have that conversation. And secondly, transparency. When you have these studies provide for transparency. It's no A said this and B said that and C said this. No, what you're going to have is everyone is going to bring his or her ingredient to the table. And in the courtroom, we normally say we're going to bake the cake, right? When you're looking at how to make up the law. So we're seeing this as an opportunity for everyone to come to the table and have that discussion, as opposed to allowing one sector or one group to control the discussion, which you've seen based upon the studies have led us to nowhere.
Absolutely. So from my understanding, the study is to determine that there is indeed an emergency because of the Florida state laws. With Florida, well, let's backtrack. To be able to implement any type of rent control, there has to be an emergency, correct?
Yeah. So the way it works is it's not so much pushing for a rent control per se, to say we're going to tell landlords who have one house, two houses, or developers and landlord who have multiple units, how much they can charge per unit. This is primarily in my position, is to get this study done so that we can. I hear so much in the back. Okay. This is so much to get this study done so that the study drives the direction we go into. Because what we don't want to do is have these unforeseen consequences, because right now there can be unforeseen consequences. And I'm getting these calls. I'm meeting with the people. I'm meeting with everybody who's affected and who's feeling this burden of paying more than 30% of their income towards rent. So for them, they're not looking for a quick overnight knee-jerk reaction correction to this situation we're in. They want long-lasting reform. And the way that has to happen is it has to begin with a table of consciousness conversation with all affected parties.
So do you believe with the study you're going to get participation from actual homeowners, multifamily owners, corporations who actually are the ones who are controlling the rent, essentially, as well as those who are impacted by it?
The short answer is yes. I believe the way we move this needle forward is that we bring everyone to the table, something that hasn't been done before. Secondly, there are so many different factors that are driving the rental cost up, right? We began with the COVID pandemic. We began with the price of insurance going through the roof that the state hasn't addressed. We can begin with cost of material for building these homes. We can look at the fact that homeowners associations have even increased their rates over time, and these different management companies have increased their rates. So when you put everything together and you're starting to see what's happening, this study becomes that much more important because it gives us a clear view of what's really happening. Right now, we're getting bits and pieces of it. So like, for instance, last night I met with a group to discuss the renter situation here in the district. And one of the things I heard from the landlords is that the cost to maintain these properties are going up, right? They used to, they were able at one particular moment to pay their management company or folk who come in and they're handy persons about $50 a visit. Now those visits are somewhere between 150 and $200 for the handy person to go in and correct matters. When it comes down to repairing roofs, we're starting to see, and this is a fact that actually is out there now in the public, is that the roofing cost has actually increased. Another thing I'm starting to see too with our renters is that our renters are being affected in the sense that folk think because minimum wage has gone up, folk think that because there are extra monies out there related to the COVID relief funds, that they can use that against certain tenants in order to justify increasing those rents. But I do believe that, again, it's going to take all of us at the table to come away with a transparent study that's going to guide us to the to victory as it relates to the rental crisis here in Miami-Dade County.
No, you make a good point now, and I'm glad that you actually are highlighting the different players, because a lot of times, one particular party can become the bad person at the table, right? And I know you definitely don't want to, not you personally, but as a governing body, don't want to, for lack of a better word, demonize homeowners or property owners, because they, like you say, they do have some different factors that are causing them to have to raise their rents as well. So I'm glad that the study will bring all of the different players to the table and hear all of the different sides and hopefully come up with some solutions. Now, do you believe that this can create a model or even influence a statewide shift when it comes to rents and property owners and just the way that the housing crisis, we already had a housing crisis before the pandemic with not having affordable housing. And that's, I don't even know if there's even such a thing anymore, but, so do you think that this measure that you're doing in Miami-Dade County can create a model that could potentially influence the rest of the state?
It will. Absolutely, it will. As we're starting to see that the state is very slow in addressing issues that are very uh, uh, important to the local people here who are affected every single day. Government has a role in this also, especially local government. So the model that I am creating, I believe it will be used across the country. I've spoken with individuals and other elected officials in different jurisdictions across this country, and they are watching exactly what we are going to do very closely. And they like the approach that we're taking because, again, you need tenants at the table, you need government at the table, you need the landlord at the table, you need the developers at the table, and you need the management companies at the table, and you need the banks at the table. So once all of those elements are at the table, and we're able to push forward with an agenda that's simply set, not to demonize one over the other, but simply to say, we all agree there's a problem. How do we fix this together? I believe this will be the model that most folk will follow, if not everyone.
And we can hope so. We can certainly hope so, right? But we do know that there's always someone out there who may misinterpret or may see that this may set a precedent that they don't like. And do you foresee any pushback or blowback from the private market or private property owners who says, listen, it's my property. I can charge what I want. I can do what I want. If they don't like it, go find somewhere else to live. How do you think that's going to come out?
Well, we're in politics, so we don't get flowers, we get battle scars. Secondly, I can expect pushback from all sides. One side is always going to say, I'm not doing enough. The other side is going to say, I'm doing too much against. But at where we are right now at this defining moment, all parties want to be a part of the solution. I've met with some of the very agencies and organizations who are pushing for this conversation, and they're not truly adverse to one another. They're simply saying, how do we come together and fix this where the finger pointing goes out of the window? People don't want a more divisive type of environment anymore. People are tired of the finger pointing. And I think the fact that we have everybody on board saying, yes, there is a housing crisis, um, and how do we fix it? I think that says that we have matured to a level that says we're moving past that point where someone wants to sit in a closet or sit in a corner with his or her hand folded and saying, I'm not going to participate because, the boogeyman is over there or the boogie woman is over there. Now, what we're seeing is these different organizations, agencies, and industries are coming together to say, yes, we recognize there's a problem. Let's talk it through.
That's phenomenal. So, do you foresee, because I don't know, I mean, if you could look in your crystal ball, Commissioner McGhee, do you foresee, she rubbed your head, I rubbed mine too, right? Do you foresee that there's going to be a shift or decline in cost in the housing market, whether it's in the cost of purchasing homes or rentals, even something going back to whatever normal is? We've been talking about going back to normal, but even with this situation, is there a normal, or are we going to have a quote unquote new normal when it comes to this housing crisis, both on the home ownership side as well as the rental side?
Look, we're at a crossroads, right? And the beautiful thing about this crossroads, there are four sides, right? And then we can go north, south, west, or east. But I do believe the good people here and the folk who are looking to sustain some sort of normalcy in our Miami-Dade County, I do believe they're going to arrive in the middle of that crossroads. And I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to set the tone for us to abide by so that we can help folk here in Miami-Dade County. So the question of whether or not there's a new normal that we're going to enter into, or if we can get back the old normal, I think I think the old normal is gone. I think those days of what you and I are used to, Anne Marie, I think those days are gone. But I do believe there is some better days on the horizon. But it's going to take folk like yourself and myself to sit and have these type of discussions where we don't alienate individuals who want to add to the discussion and to the overall benefit of the society. So, in conclusion, I would simply say, um, as long as there is an opportunity for a conversation to be had, I think then the new normal would be more of a shining beacon of hope for us. But the minute the conversations and the opportunities to fellowship, once those lines of communications are broken down, what we're going to find is apathy more so than empathy. And when you have that apathy more so than empathy, you get to see things that are happening around the country that shakes all of us to our boots, whether it's politically done, whether it's socially done, economically done, or just psychologically done. Lastly, and I know I was in conclusion earlier, but lastly, you said something, I didn't want this to get away. You hit on it spot on. Mental health. Uh, all of these things are having a detrimental effect on all of us and our kids and our neighbors' children and our friends' children because mental health is not being properly addressed. And this could be one of those contributing factors that's causing folk to have a shift in their mental health that can either cause a termination in life and or some harm to the body.
Absolutely. And you know, with that being said, Commissioner McGhee, I know you're a man of the people. What what advice can you give to someone out there who says, you know, this sounds great, study is wonderful, but I'm in this situation today.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do today?
Right. So help is on its way. Help is on its way. I'm committed to making sure that we address this matter. Um, you know, you know, the the easiest thing I can say, and it just at the top of my tongue and at the top of my forehead, right, is that you know we can go for a rash decision, and in a sense that it'll give us a temporary short-term fix, or we can make sure that what we're doing is not only going to help us, but it's also going to be an opportunity to help our kids, their kids, and a society overall. I've always stated that sometimes, those of us who are going through things, we have to look at it from the lenses that help is on its way, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure we get it right because honestly, uh, I do believe part of this increase in these rental prices and the price of milk and the price of gas, the inflation and everything else that you're seeing, s- some of these things were foreseeable, and I think there were signs that were missed. And what I don't want to do is emulate exactly what happened before my time as a county commissioner. Um, I don't want to glaze over something because I'm in a rush to fix something and give a temporary fix. I want to get it right, and making sure that when we get it right this time, that the future generation doesn't suffer the same way we're suffering right now with these high prices that are just unbelievable and unacceptable.
Absolutely. Well, before we wrap up, how can our audience continue to follow, learn more, or even reach your office or get involved?
Yeah, the easiest way is the social media page, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's Kionne McGhee. Secondly, it's you can email me at district9 at miami-dade.gov. That's another way they can contact us. But let me just say this to you, Anne Marie. This is one of the um, best moments I've had, and you know, looking forward on how we can help this community and help the future. And again, it's going to begin with someone like you leading the charge, asking the tough questions, and holding everybody responsible. Because at the end of the day, this is where change happens, and it begins with conversation. And conversations like this are very much needed, especially what we're seeing across this country, where folk are starting again to go into their own closets, step into their own corners, and fold their arms and refuse to talk to one another because they're afraid of what type of questions may come out and or what answers may be given that they don't agree with. So I believe the table of consciousness will prevail in this matter also.
Absolutely. And what I hope everyone out there that's listening will do is when the study comes out, because this, I think the challenge we have, and because I do market research on, in my day job, in our marketing agency, when the study comes out, we need you all to participate. Because that's the only way. You have to be at the table, no matter what side of the fence you're on, whether you're a renter, homeowner, property owner, whatever stakeholder you are. Make sure you participate in the study so that your voice is heard and so that accurate information can be and solutions can be derived from the study once it is released. So I just want to, from a personal standpoint, who deals with market research studies on a daily basis, and it's very hard to get people to participate. I just want to ask everyone out there to please participate when it's your time, because that's the way your voice is going to be heard as we're dealing with this particular crisis.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So thank you so much. Stay with me for just a moment, Commissioner McGhee, while I just do a few quick announcements. Of course, I want to thank our sponsors again for making this broadcast possible. So thank you to the Desmond and Dover Accident Attorneys, AARP, Florida Lottery, and All of Us Research Program at the University of Miami, and our partner, Broward College. If you're looking for a higher paying job, start your life-changing career in 2 years or less with Broward College's Fast Track certification programs. Training is available for South Florida's top earning industry, and you can learn more at broward.edu/Fast Track Legacy or call 954-306-9085. Also, please make sure you check out our current issue and watch our upcoming shows. We have something for everyone. Mondays is the Business of Black Business at 1 p.m. with Jay Reynolds. Tuesday, My Money, Your Money at 7 p.m. with Bridgette Lumpkins. Wednesday, Soul at 7 p.m. with Nikki Jellin. Thursdays, of course, yours truly, Lunch with Legacy Leaders at noon, and Flavor of South Florida at 7 p.m. with Chef Irie. And as always, this information is very, very valuable. So please share, like, and save the date. And stay tuned, and we'll see you back here again next Thursday at noon. Thank you, Commissioner McGhee.
Thank you.